If you're tired of losing to the competition and never seeing your ads appear in Google, this video is for you. I know what it's like. You go to Google, you search a few keywords, and you only ever see your competitors ranking above you. It's really annoying, and unfortunately, you don't really understand what to do to make sure that you appear above them. If that resonates with you, then this video was made exactly for you, and I'm going to give you a complete crash course on how to outrank your Google Ads competition step by step in this video. So ideally, you can walk away from this, put it into practice, and improve the visibility of your ads as soon as possible. If you're new to the channel, I'm Sylvia Perez. I'm the founder of AdConversion. We teach 9,000 plus B2B marketers how to master ads, and we manage over $40 million a year in ad spend for top B2B SaaS brands. Everything I'm going to be explaining in this video is from my experience. I'm going to be sharing it with you like if you were a team member inside of my ad agency, just sharing what we have found work over the years for millions of dollars in Google ad spend. I think it's really important to state that your first and last goal should be profitability. I've seen people go wrong with this, where they get over obsessed about showing their ads as often as possible at the expense of profitability and generating a positive return of their ads. At the end of the day, not all traffic is worth it and not all visibility is worth it. I am going to show you how you can outrank your competition and get more visibility. And the things I explained today, you could totally use to show up as much as you want. But if you don't have the offer in place, the average deal size, and the cost to acquire the traffic just doesn't make sense for you based on your unit economics, then is that traffic ultimately worth it if you're just burning cash in the process, even though you are showing up more often than your competitors? With that being said, let's go ahead and dive into the Auction Insights report. And this is what we're going to use to first and foremost understand how are we actually comparing against the competition in terms of our performance. Because if you don't know how far off you are, then how are you going to improve it? Okay, so I'm here in Google Ads, and to find the Auction Insights report, just go ahead and click on Insights and Reports under Campaigns, Auction Insights, and you can drill into a specific campaign that you want to see the performance for, or you can see it across all your search campaigns. And I'm looking at a specific campaign here, and I thought this was a great example to show you for a new client that we just inherited. We're doing the audit for them. And one of the things that we always ask ourselves when we inherit a Google Ad account is how visible are we, right? In terms of winning the game of Google Ads, right? How good of a job are we doing in terms of the visibility we could be receiving for the keywords that we're bidding on? And here in the Auction Insights report, I have a list of competitors. So these are all the different competitors that I'm going up against. I do have to blur it just because this is a real live account. But basically, I am right here. So I am at the very, very bottom of this list, unfortunately, compared to all these competitors who are above me. And you can see here, I have an 18% search impression share. Now, impression share, and I really recommend that you have the same columns that I do. I find these to be the most valuable. But impression share, if you've never heard of this metric before, it tells you how often are you actually showing up on Google Ads. So for instance, in a perfect world, you have 100% impression share. So that means of all the impressions you could potentially receive based on your existing targeting, you are receiving 100% of the available impressions. Now, with competition, that doesn't really happen. So typically you have a 60% impression share or 20%, 30%, 40%, and it can range, and there are different benchmarks depending on the keyword strategies you're bidding on and how aggressive the competition is for the sets of keywords that you're interested in. So in this example, I have an impression share for this campaign and these keywords of 18%. My top competitor has an impression share for the same sets of keywords and targeting of 71%. So this is a perfect example where we are dramatically missing out in terms of visibility compared to our top competitor on this list. The second thing that I really like in terms of the metrics and the Auction Insights report, I really like this top of page rate. So this metric tells me how often am I on the top 3 spots of Google Ads, and I find this to be super helpful. So for instance, this number 1 competitor, they are on the top of Google 94% of the time. I'm on the top of Google 74% of the time. So for instance, they're showing up 71% of the time. They're getting 71% of the available impressions. And when they're showing up in terms of that 71%, they're showing up on the top of the page 94% of the time, which is incredible. They're doing a great job. This account, however, when we do show up on a positive note, the limited times that we do show up, we only show up 18% of the time in terms of the impressions that we're winning. We show up 74% of the time on the top of the 3 spots. So it sounds like to me that there are some serious opportunities to optimize so that we can really jump this list and get to the top as fast as possible. The other metrics here on this Auction Insights report, you have overlap rate. This basically just tells you, are they a direct competitor or are they a tangential competitor? So direct competitors, you have usually much more overlap rate. Direct competitors are bidding on similar sets of keywords as you. It's very possible that you can show up and other brands can be on this list that aren't necessarily direct competitor, but they're adjacent competitors or tangential competitors, meaning they're bidding on related keywords and based on their existing targeting, maybe they don't have good search terms, maybe they don't have a good negative keyword set, etc. They're showing up for your queries, even though they're not intending to. So these are like adjacent competitors, but not necessarily direct competitors. So the overlap rate is a good metric to understand direct versus adjacent. The second one is a position above rate. So when you guys are head to head, how often is one person over the other? So in this case, when we are up against, this competitor, they are above us 69% of the time, which sucks. So a lot of work to be done. And then lastly, we talked about top of page rate. The only difference between top of page rate and absolute top of page rate is this is for the position one. And to be honest, I wouldn't stress absolute top of page rate. I don't want to go too into this because this video is going to be a long one, but we have ran tests and we know that sometimes bidding on the second spot, third spot, like showing up in the second, third positions, you can actually have a better CPA than showing up in the top spot. So it's not necessarily about being in the number one spot. It's about being in the top 3 spots. That's really what matters so that you have a chance of getting some clicks. And then lastly, outranking share. This just basically tells you how often are they outranking you or vice versa. So again, my favorite metrics here are impression share. How visible are we in terms of the total impressions? And then when we do show up, how often are we showing up on the top 3 page? And then finally, overlap rate is great. You can understand who you're really going up against in terms of direct competitors versus adjacent competitors. Now that we understand the Auction Insights report and how we're doing against the competition, I want to talk to you about competitive metrics and how these are going to be absolutely essential in order for you to understand where you need to focus your efforts in terms of visibility. I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough here of that same campaign that we looked in the Auction Insights report. So what I highly recommend that you do is that you add the columns that I have here in your available keyword set. So for instance, I've got a few columns and I added them here under going columns, modify columns, and I just added them in and I created a custom column set. The first metric is your search impression share. So this one we talked about. So of all of the available impressions available based on your targeting in your campaign, what percentage of those impressions are you actually capturing? And again, in a perfect world, we would love to have 100% search impression share, but that's not very practical or realistic based on the competitive nature of the auction place. So there's only 2 reasons you're not showing up or you're not getting those impressions. This is your search loss to rank. And this tells you how often are you not showing up because you're actually just losing to the competition. And then lastly, we have search loss to budget. And search loss to budget basically just tells us how often are you not showing up because you just ran out of money. And these metrics are incredible because this tells us, this is the very first step outside of the Auction Insights report of understanding who we're going up against. From an optimization standpoint, it tells me where I need to focus my efforts as a Google advertiser. So for example, I've got an 18% search impression share. The number one thing that's hurting me right now is my search loss to rank of 66%. So this means I've got a lot of work to do in terms of improving my campaign's competitiveness against the marketplace. And then lastly, I've got search loss to budget of 15%. So in order to fix the search loss to budget, this is really easy. It just means increase your campaign's daily budget, right? If at the end of the day, it is an action place, it's PPC, pay per click, right? Pay to play. It's not organic traffic. So you gotta spend sometimes. So what I would do in this example is I would take my daily budget of $1,800 and I would multiply it against 15%, and the increase I would add on to the campaign. So I would increase the daily budget by 15%. That should solve this search loss to budget problem, which now leaves me with my final problem, which is improving my search loss to rank, which I want to go into much more detail for you because this one is a bit of a beast. Just wanted to take a quick second and say, if you're loving this video, you're going to absolutely love our free courses over at AdConversion.com. We have free courses on Google ads, Reddit ads, LinkedIn ads, and more. If you're really liking this video, I highly recommend that you check out the Google ads courses that I created. All of our courses are free, by the way. We're really just trying to create the go-to place in the world to master B2B ads, because when I was learning how to run ads, it was really complicated. I got ripped off a lot and I wanted to solve that problem. And I highly recommend that you actually check out this course right here, Google Ads 102. It's an intermediate course, which basically means now that you've launched your campaigns and you have to optimize those campaigns, how do you do that? And I go super in detail here. So if you like structured learning, I highly recommend that you check this out. And if you are skeptical and you're like, dude, what's the catch? Free courses. I don't believe you. You can check out our wall of love. Like, people have landed jobs, they've started agencies. Like, it's been incredible to hear the impact we've been making with this. So check it out. All right, I've pulled out the magic whiteboard, and I want to go ahead and talk about Outrank in extensive detail so that you can truly understand this, because those that really get this are on another level in terms of expertise with Google Ads. So in the example of the campaign that I walked you through, I had a 66% search loss to rank. Now the next logical question becomes, Silvio, I've got a 66% search loss to rank. What do I do next? That's what I want to explain to you. And understanding this formula is the thing that you must understand and get, and the light bulb must click in order for you to feel fully confident to overcome any visibility limitations in your side of your Google Ad account. Okay, so ad rank is your max bid times your quality score times your expected impact of ad extensions. I highly recommend that you write this down if this is new to you, because as you become more experienced as a Google advertiser, it becomes second nature. But if you're just getting started, it's really helpful to write this down as a reminder. So what does this mean in practice? So that campaign has a 66% search loss to rank, or LTR for an acronym. And with the 66% search loss to rank, the thing that basically determines that 66% is this formula. So this formula is why I have a 66% search loss to rank and not a 0% search loss to rank. So now what we need to do is we need to drill down on the formula. So again, it's max bid times quality score times extensions. So for instance, max bid. Max bid is all about how competitive I am being in terms of my bidding strategies in relation to the competition. Remember, it's an auction place. There's different advertisers bidding against each other, trying to buy those positions and show up on the top of the page. However, thankfully, because Google released quality score back in 2005, it's not just a bidding bloodbath where whoever pays or wants to pay the highest click gets the spot. It also takes into consideration your quality score and the impact of ad extensions, which is fantastic in terms of, I'm trying not to nerd out too hard here, but I go into detail this in our Google Ads course, but it's the trinity between the advertiser gets what they want, they get rewarded with lower costs, the platform's happy because there's more advertisers, and the user is happy because they find more relevant things. So by combining competitiveness of bid, relevance with quality score, and then impact of ad extensions, Google basically reverse engineered and manufactured a more pleasant experience for users. So what does that mean for us as advertisers? That means these are the variables we need to optimize in order to show up more often. So when it comes to your max bid, whenever I hear questions like, am I using the right bidding strategy? What is the right bidding strategy? All that, like, I really think of that as like a factor or a symptom of a much greater problem, which is, do you have a good ad rank? And if you have a good ad rank and you're visible, but you're still not profitable, then that's a separate problem, right? That's offer related, landing page related, etc. So with that being said, max bid, this is where, for instance, if you are using, and we can have a whole lesson on this, but in terms of improving your max bid, like if you're using certain bidding strategies and you're not ready for it yet. So for example, maybe you're using maximize conversions or target CPA and you don't have enough conversion history. What Google might do is Google might artificially lower your bids too low, where now you're just missing out against the competition. Or maybe if you're using a cost cap bid strategy like target CPA or manual CPC or search impression share with a target, whatever that thing is, you're using some sort of target, some sort of cap. Sometimes when you set that cap too low in relation to the competitiveness of the keywords you're bidding on, your bids are too low in relation to what everyone else is bidding for that same thing. And your bidding strategy is hurting your search loss to rank. If it's bidding related, this is the easiest change to make. It usually just means increase your bid caps, increase your cost caps, try to see the impact on your cost per click and your search loss to rank over time as you get more visible. But this is the easiest thing to fix in terms of ad rank if that is the thing that's hurting you. The second thing that might be hurting you is your quality score. And your quality score is a number from 1 to 10 that just basically means how relevant are you? So for instance, if I go to Google and I'm bidding on the keyword Google Ads courses, I would love to see as a user a keyword, or I should say an ad that talks about Google Ads courses, and then it drives me to a landing page that gives me what I wanted, which is the Google Ads courses. Sounds very simple and very basic, easy to say, hard to do sometimes. And oftentimes it's the easy, simple things done right that make all the difference. But when you audit your Google Ad account or your clients' accounts, can you honestly say, I am doing a good job in terms of creating that message match from the keyword to the landing page. So in terms of your quality score, this is also a formula. It's a formula that also has variables that determine that number between 1 through 10. So this is where you're going to have to kind of drill down a bit. So for instance, with quality score, there is a few things that calculate this number and determine whether you are a 1, which is horrible, or a 10, which is incredible. And what those things are, it's your ad relevance, your landing page experience, and your expected click-through rate. So ad relevance, what this is basically how good of a job did you do in terms of grouping your keywords and your ads. So when I hear questions like, how many keywords are the right keywords amounts in an ad group? Or should I put, my keyword in my headline and my description versus just these are all symptoms of a lack of understanding of the metric of ad relevance. Because if you understand ad relevance and you have an above average ad relevance, then that means you did a good job at grouping your keywords and your ads, and you're doing a good job in terms of matching the relevance that's needed from Google's point of view. So ad relevance, simply put, means make sure that your keywords and your ad copy speak to each other, right? If I'm bidding on the keyword Google Ads courses, I should use that keyword somewhere in the ad saying Google Ads courses. Super important. Otherwise, you're going to run the risk of having a low ad relevance. The second thing is your landing page experience. Your landing page experience just basically means when people show up on your page, did they find value? Was the experience in itself pleasurable? There's multiple things that go into this. It's not just a matter of keyword stuffing. I think that's a big trap that we fall into, is you're thinking like, it's very obvious when somebody creates a landing page just for Google Ads, where you just see the headline is very vanilla, and it's just like, in the example of Google Ads courses, it's like, Google Ads course is, you know what I mean, or whatever. And then it kind of subways in. Like, it's obviously they're doing it from a landing page experience perspective, which is fine, but that shouldn't be the only thing to do. It's also about how well it renders on mobile. Is the page fast? Is there good UX and like clear separation? Is the page indexable by Google so it can get a better understanding and crawl your page better? There's other technical factors that go into improving your landing page experience. And then finally is expected click-through rate. Expected click-through rate is just Google's perception on how often they think your ad will get clicked. This one, in my experience, is the hardest one to improve because it's a bit lagging, and things go into this such as how good is your keyword targeting. The more irrelevant impressions you get, the lower the amount of clicks in relation to those impressions will be, the lower your CTR on your campaign will be, which will impact your expected click-through rate. How often are you testing ad copy? Are you using ad extensions? All of these things go into improving your CTR. So for accounts that haven't been doing the disciplined work of continuously improving CTR over time, they typically start to get punished here, and that's where it gets represented. And then lastly, impact of ad extensions. This one is just simply put, use ad extensions. I highly recommend using site link extensions. Those are the most important. At least 4 site link extensions, ideally, where you can link people to additional relevant information. If you're watching this and you're in the B2B world, which that's where we operate in, people are not going to buy 60K contract products with like one simple landing page. They do research beforehand. They want to educate themselves. So just make that journey a bit more pleasant and use as many as you can. So with this being said, this is how we basically now need to improve this 66% search loss to rank. So I'm going to go back now into my account, and I'm going to walk you through this in some more detail. So let's go into the account here, and I'm going to go down into this campaign. I'm going to drill into the keyword level, and I have to have this blurred for the client's privacy. And here in the keyword level, I've added in some quality score metrics. So I highly recommend that you add these in for yourself. I added in quality score, ad relevance, expected click-through rate, and landing page experience. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through that formula, and I'm going to use it as a checklist. Do I have a bidding problem? So in the case of this account, they don't have a bidding problem. I don't see anything on the bidding stride that's speaking to a bidding problem. So now the second question is, okay, do I have a quality score problem? And by the way, sometimes you have all these problems. You have a bidding problem and a quality score problem, which just means, the worse the before, the better the after. So here, now I'm going to sort by quality score, and I'm going to look at my keywords, and I'm going to run an analysis, and I'm going to say, okay, what's the average quality score across my campaign? And what is the thing that is hurting my quality score the most? So in this case, I can see I've got a 4 out of 10, a 3 out of 10, a 3 out of 10, a 3 out of 10. Ideally, 70% of my keywords have a score of 7 and greater. That's my general rule of thumb. There are exceptions to that. but that's generally what I'm aiming for. I will say quality score, it's like anything in extreme can be bad. So I've also seen people take quality score out of context where their conversion rates are terrible and their CPAs are bad. And instead of doing the work of improving their landing pages and offers, they're stressing about a quality score of 5. Doesn't really make sense. So make sure you focus on the right things. But in terms of improving quality score, in this example, with this campaign, the majority of my top keywords have below average expected click-through rate, which means this campaign probably does not have good ad copy. I can optimize it. Maybe we're missing ad extensions. And then I can see here, I have average landing page experience. And this is really bad to see, below average ad relevance. So this tells me I can probably do a better job in terms of the campaign structure and how these ad groups and keywords were put together so that I can start to make a closer tie between my ad copy and the keywords in there. Or maybe it's the campaign structure was good, but I just got to go and update the ad copy to be a bit more relevant to the keywords. So with this in mind, now I'm able to go and optimize this and go much deeper in terms of improving this. If you want to go deeper on quality score, then check out this video right here. It's going to be super helpful for you. I hope this video was valuable. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. It really helps us grow our reach as a small channel, and subscribe so you can be notified of future videos. When you're ready, check out AdConversion.com and join our community of 9,000 plus B2B marketers and master ads with our free courses. I'll see you in the next one.